Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is now apologizing after House leadership and many of her fellow Democrats called on her to do precisely that. Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer released this statement about her, saying that, quote, use of anti-Semitic tropes and prejudicial accusations about Israel's supporters is deeply offensive. We condemn these remarks and we call upon Congresswoman Omar to immediately apologize for these hurtful comments. And the backlash over this tweet, this is where this all started. She had tweeted, quote, "It's all about the Benjamins, baby." And it was her response to the message critical of the Republican House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, for going after Congresswoman Omar and her support of the anti-Israel movement called BDS, or Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions. Later, Omar accused on Twitter the lobbying group AIPAC for paying politicians to be pro-Israel. So let's go straight to Capitol Hill and CNN's congressional correspondent there, Manu Raju. And so, Manu, what is the response now from Congresswoman Omar?
Well, she's offering an apology as criticism has been building on the left all day long, including from her Democratic leadership, and finally responding after the tweets from last night created such an uproar. She says, anti-Semitism is real, and I am grateful for Jewish allies and colleagues who are educating me on the painful history of anti-Semitic tropes. My intention is never to offend my constituents or Jewish Americans as a whole. We have to always be willing to step back and think through criticism, just as I expect people to hear from me when others attack me for my identity. This is why I unequivocally apologize. She goes on to say, at the same time, I reaffirm the problematic role of lobbyists in our politics, whether it be AIPAC, the NRA, the fossil fuel industry. She said it's gone on too long, and we must be willing to address it. So that last part referring to her final tweet from last night, referring to AIPAC, the pro-Israel lobby, in which she contended that was what her criticism was about, money being, when she said it's all about the Benjamins, but she essentially had to do this. She was facing an enormous amount of criticism from her leadership. Republicans are saying she should be removed from the House Foreign Affairs Committee, of which she sits. There's no indication Democratic leaders are going to do that, but that's one area where Republicans plan to continue to push for further action against her. Of course, this comes also in light of previous statements that she has broken from some of the more traditional support of Israel here in this town. And she has said, trying to make it clear that her criticism is not about the Jewish people, but it's about the Israeli government's policies. People say that it's not clear that she is saying that, but of course, she is also a history-making congresswoman, just of her and Rashida Tlaib, the first Muslim congresswoman here to be elected to the House. And that's why she says in that statement, she talks about people attacking her for her identity, clearly a reference to that. But what she also wants to make clear, she says, I unequivocally apologize, realizing that this firestorm growing so intensely overnight, and she had to say just that to try to calm the waters here on Capitol Hill.